a potentially historic meeting between US President Donald Trump and his Russian counterpart Vladimir Putin in Alaska. The pair warmly shaking hands on the runway after landing in Anchorage before a flyover of military jets. We saw the two leaders then get in the back of President Trump's armoured Cadillac together, a slightly unusual move, and they drove off for talks. Let's speak to former Liberal MP Jason Falinski, who's been good enough to join us in the studio at this early hour. Jason, great to have you on. Just astonishing video out of the United States. We know what's at stake because news channels across the globe have been reporting on this conflict in Ukraine for years now. And here you have President Trump, famous for the art of the deal, trying to get Vladimir Putin to agree to a ceasefire. What did you make of the optics of it all? We saw President Trump applauding Vladimir Putin as he walked towards him on the runway along this red carpet, a warm shake of hands. How do you think that's getting viewed in Ukraine, where, of course, President Zelensky was given quite a grilling in the White House?
I don't think it... I mean, there has been, like, even in his first term, this very strange relationship between Trump and Putin. So, and I think that just continues here. And I think when you step back and you look at what's going on in Ukraine and more broadly, the Russian Federation is on its knees. It has... in parts of his mind, he must think, I regret ever doing this. I mean, they've had their bomber fleet decimated, they've had their Black Sea fleet destroyed. He's got a demographic problem that this has accelerated. His oil and gas sector can't get investment, can't get technology. He's now essentially so reliant on China and even North Korea. I mean, this is...
But despite all that, he seems someone that's very good at saying, I'm not going to make any concessions, I'm in a strong position.
And that's what I was about to say. He's like the guy going into the car dealership who's got no money. And he seems to have Trump, scrambling for. But we don't know what's going on behind closed doors. He's quite ego-driven.
It was going to be a one-on-one chat, and now they're each bringing in advisors. What do you make of that, based on your experience?
Well, that seems to me like what he's trying to do is create a bit of a buffer. So if he wants to stay the good guy, this is Trump. Then he can sort of say, my advisors, Vlad, they don't like what's going on. So that might be what's happening there. It's hard to tell.
And as someone who's got experience in both business and politics, how do you like this approach from Trump, almost saying, treat it as a business deal? We know economically Russia wants something out of us. Yeah. That's the kind of the pressure point.
Yeah, well, I think that a lot of these international negotiations do actually miss that real politique part of it. So by bringing that to it, he might be able to actually create some sort of... But I just don't think Vladimir Putin thinks like that. He's very much a blood and country type of person. So he really believes Ukraine should be part of the Russian Federation. And that's actually my perception of what's happening here. That's the great mismatch. Yeah. So for Trump, it's about a deal. For Putin, it's about, this is about blood and treasure and history. And, remember before he invaded, he had that extraordinary blast about, Ukraine's not really a country. It didn't really exist. It's all made up. And we're all sitting there thinking, what are you talking about?
Yeah, it's at odds with the international view, isn't it? And talking of the international view, how is this being looked at here in Australia? We saw an interesting thing earlier this week where the two main political parties were diametrically opposed over the Middle East issue, and certainly the Albanese government's decision to recognise Palestinian statehood, joining other Western countries in doing that, coming up in a few weeks' time. And of course, quite a big pushback from the opposition leader. Ukraine, it seems like a bit more of a sort of unified voice on.
Yeah, I think when it comes to Ukraine, it's not the sort of pressure point that's been used by the left globally. And so there's more alignment around the fact that this was an illegal invasion. We have to stand up for people in Ukraine. And let's not forget that the results of, if Putin does succeed in Ukraine, then he's on the border of Poland. And Poland's an EU member and a NATO member.
Yeah. And what do you make of Susan Lee's performance so far?
So far, so good. I mean, look, the next 12 months is going to be a difficult period for the Liberal Party. There's been a lot of stuff that we haven't dealt with that we have to deal with.
Yeah, OK. Well, listen, Jason, we really appreciate you coming in this early hour. It'll be fascinating to see what's going to happen
in Alaska.
OK, good.